Imagine for a second that society hands you this massive stack of medical journals.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right, and these journals are just full of these really dire warnings. They're telling you that to survive, you absolutely must get 8 solid hours of sleep.
Oh, right. Reduce your stress, take time to meditate, all of that.
Exactly. They tell you that a lack of rest will lead to, like, heart disease, lung issues, cognitive decline. It's terrifying stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
But then the moment you put those journals down, you realize that society has actually locked you inside this gigantic windowless casino.
Wow. That's quite a visual.
Right. I mean, the lights are blinding, alarms are blaring everywhere. There are absolutely no clocks on the walls.
Truly.
And instead of giving you a key to the exit, someone just hands you a flashing slot machine and tells you to keep pulling the lever.
That is, it's a brilliant, if totally terrifying way to visualize the modern human condition.
It's maddening.
Yeah.
But that exact paradox is what we're unpacking today. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
Yes, and that paradox is right at the very heart of today's source material, which is just incredible.
It really is. Today, we are diving into the 13 Elephants Project.
Which is an audio series and an upcoming book, right?
Yeah, exactly. By a New Zealand scholar and well-being practitioner, Dr. Michael.
His work is so fascinating. It's this deeply introspective exploration of what it actually means to be human in all its chaos.
It really is. And our mission today is for you, the listener, whether you're, an academic learner trying to synthesize new frameworks or just someone who's completely exhausted despite supposedly doing everything right. We want to decode Dr. Michael's core concept for you.
And that concept is third space theory.
Exactly. We're going to break down what this space actually is, how it helps navigate really difficult life transitions, and why it is, honestly, the ultimate antidote to that overwhelming casino noise.
Which is so crucial because, Dr. Michael is not just offering generic self-help here.
Right. It's not a listicle.
No, not at all. It's not some linear 5 steps to a happier you kind of map. The 13 Elephants Project is, it's part memoir, part academic framework, and it's totally based on the premise that life is just messy.
Yeah, you're not a machine that's either perfectly fixed or completely broken.
Exactly. You exist in this state of constant transition, and third space theory really provides the architecture for understanding those transitions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because for the academic learners listening who, want a solid definition before we get into the abstract stuff, how exactly does Dr. Michael define this third space?
Right, because we hear a lot about safe spaces or liminal spaces.
Yeah, exactly. So what makes this one different?
Well, the foundational definition he gives is that the third space is this reflective zone located squarely between your past and your future.
Between the past and the future.
Yeah, it's the transitional area where your lived experiences actively inform the theory of your life.
Oh, wait, I like that. So instead of adopting some top-down academic theory and forcing your life into it.
Right, exactly. The third space is where your actual real-time suffering and joy and confusion become the data.
The data that builds your personal framework.
You got it. It's where you actually process the transition.
That makes a ton of sense. But let's ground it in daily life. I'm thinking about an airlock on a deep-sea submarine.
Oh, an airlock. Okay, go on.
So if you're outside the submarine, you're in this freezing, crushing pressure of the deep ocean. That's your demanding job, your family obligations, the pressure to perform.
Right, the chaos of everyday life.
Yeah. And you can't just open a door and step directly from that crushing ocean into the worn, dry cabin of the submarine.
No, the pressure differential would literally tear you apart.
Exactly. You need the airlock. You need the sealed intermediate space where you can slowly depressurize.
Right. You take off the heavy diving suit.
Yeah, you take off the employee hat or the perfect parent hat, and you just stand there for a minute, adjusting.
That is an incredibly accurate way to visualize it. The third space is that depressurization chamber. It's the pause.
And doesn't Dr. Michael use a really specific analogy for what happens in that chamber?
He does. He says the third space is the place where the elephant in the room finally gets a voice.
Wow. The elephant in the room.
Yeah, it's that quiet moment when you stop performing for the world and you stop ignoring the massive, uncomfortable truths of your life.
Yeah.
You actually sit down and listen to them.
See, I want to push back on that a bit, though.
Okay, what's the red flag for you?
Because when I hear phrases like sitting with the elephant or treating this space as a permission slip to stop pretending we have it all together,
Right.
is the third space basically just a glorified excuse to check out of your responsibilities when life gets hard? Like, is this just procrastination masquerading as self-care?
That's a highly critical distinction to make, and it's completely fair to ask, but Dr. Michael's work actively guards against that misinterpretation.
Okay, how so?
Well, glorified procrastination is about avoidance, right? When you procrastinate, you're still running from the elephant in the room.
Yeah, you're just finding creative ways to distract yourself from it.
Exactly. But the third space is the exact opposite of avoidance. Stepping into that airlock and facing the elephant that requires immense psychological labor.
So it's not a vacation.
No, it is exhausting to look honestly at the space between who you were and who you're becoming. So it isn't a permission slip to run away from reality.
It's a permission slip to stop pretending you have an immediate resolution for it.
Yes, it removes the societal expectation that you have to instantly fix your problems. It gives you space to actually understand them first.
Okay, so it's not retreat, it's reflection. But that brings us right back to the casino metaphor.
The modern contradiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if this airlock, this deep, quiet reflection is mandatory for our psychological survival, why does it feel mechanically impossible to actually achieve it?
And this is something Dr. Michael details brilliantly in an episode called Sleeping Days.
Oh yeah, the sleep paradox.
Right. He explores this contradiction between the physiological necessity of rest and the societal infrastructure of distraction.
Like we said earlier, we get bombarded with data about the dangers of sleep deprivation.
Right. The medical journals telling us our organs will fail.
Yeah. But then society makes it impossible to achieve.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The environment we inhabit is engineered to prevent that exact rest.
Because we live in a world governed by, as Dr. Michael says, shiny things and sirens.
Exactly.
It's a cycle of 10-second video clips, endless algorithms, and 24-hour instant gratification.
What's fascinating here is that society demands you prioritize your mental health, but the tools it gives you to do so are fundamentally designed to capture and fracture your attention.
So it's actively robbing us of our third space by preventing us from ever being alone with our thoughts.
Yes, and Dr. Michael calls this false medicine.
False medicine. That phrase really stuck with me. Because you're exhausted from the ocean, looking for the airlock, and society hands you this false medicine.
Right. You open an app, you scroll for 2 hours, and it feels like rest because your body isn't moving and your mind is numb.
But you aren't depressurizing at all.
No, you're anesthetizing yourself. And there's a massive difference between an anesthetic and a cure.
Wow. Yeah.
Neurologically, that 10-second scroll prevents the deep processing required by the third space.
You're just stuck in the casino pulling a lever.
Exactly. You're pausing your present state by flooding your brain with cheap dopamine.
Which means the elephant is still standing right behind you while you stare at the slot machine.
It absolutely is.
So what happens to the person who realizes this? The person who drops the slot machine and says, you know what? I'm not taking the false medicine anymore.
In our current culture, that person immediately becomes an outsider.
Because they refuse to play the game.
Right. And that outsider experience is a central pillar of third space theory.
Which Dr. Michael talks about with such raw honesty.
He really does. He describes these intensely lonely times where it feels like you're screaming silently at the world.
Because nobody's looking up from their shiny things to hear you.
Exactly. And to explore that outsider identity, he introduces a metaphor in the third season that I just love. The lone wolf. Oh, yes. But he completely flips the cliche on its head.
He really does.
Because normally when you think of a lone wolf, you picture this, like, hyper-independent, stoic movie character driving a muscle car.
Right, a very performative type of isolation built on defiance.
But Dr. Michael says, sure, the lone wolf could be someone riding a Harley-Davidson down an empty highway. But it could also just be a 12-year-old boy playing football.
Yes, just a kid on a noisy, chaotic field trying to carve out 3 feet of physical and mental space for himself.
Amidst all the shouting coaches and aggressive players. I mean, it completely reframes the concept.
This raises an important question, though. Because if we analyze the psychology of that 12-year-old boy, it reveals something profound about how we view conformity.
Because society pathologizes solitude, right?
Absolutely. If you aren't constantly connected and consuming the false medicine, society labels you as strange or broken.
But Dr. Michael argues that stepping away isn't a failure to integrate.
No, it's a necessary mechanism for survival. He champions this idea of being the extrovert introverted, which sounds like an oxymoron at first.
It does, but it perfectly describes the mechanics of the airlock.
You can be an extrovert,
Even-
you could love the ocean and engage with people, but you are fiercely protective of your introverted space,
You're protective of your airlock. You give yourself permission to be completely authentic.
even if that makes you look like the lone wolf to everyone else.
Exactly. That 12-year-old isn't rejecting his teammates. He just recognizes that to survive the sensory overload, he has to step into his third space.
So what does this all mean for the listener?
You mean practically speaking?
Yeah. If someone listening right now is standing in the middle of their own chaotic football field, or they're paralyzed in that casino,
Mm-hmm.
how do they actually start building this airlock?
Right. How do you get through a massive life transition using this?
Exactly, like a career failure or breakup. What is the actual mechanical step-by-step guide here?
Well, this is where Dr. Michael's work really shines as an applied theory. In episodes like Turn Your Brokenness into Gold, he maps out a clear 4-step process.
Okay, let's walk through it with step one.
Step 1 is to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Okay.
Dr. Michael asks this deeply challenging question. What if the single most powerful thing you could do right now is just tell the absolute truth about your own life?
Which sounds so simple, but it is so hard. We constantly lie to ourselves just to get through the day.
Oh, all the time.
We say, oh, I'm fine, work is just a little stressful, when really we are fundamentally burnt out.
We do that because confronting cognitive dissonance is painful.
Right. We have this narrative of who we're supposed to be.
And when our lived experience contradicts that, we cover it up with performative filters.
So telling the truth breaks the filter.
Exactly. Before you can transition from point A to point B, you have to honestly look at the elephant in the room and admit it exists.
You can't build an airlock on self-deception.
No, you cannot.
Okay, so you shatter the filter. What's step 2?
Step 2 is to strip away the noise.
Strip away the noise.
And Dr. Michael uses a fascinating auditory metaphor for this in an episode called What Can We Talk About?
Oh, where he removes all the background audio.
Yes. Zero music, zero ambient sound. It's just his raw voice.
Which is incredibly jarring if you're used to modern media. We're so conditioned to have a constant soundtrack masking dead air.
Precisely. And that auditory vacuum forces you to pay absolute attention to the narrative.
So neurologically, you can't process an emotional transition while consuming the false medicine.
You can't. You have to turn off the external inputs so your own internal unedited voice can finally be heard.
You have to sit in the silence, even when it's deafening.
Which naturally leads to step 3.
Because once you tell the truth and turn off the distractions, you are completely alone with your own mess.
And that is terrifying.
Oh, absolutely terrifying, especially for high achievers. So what is step 3?
Step 3 is accept your state.
Accept your state.
Right. Because when you strip away the noise, you'll probably feel vulnerable, confused, and deeply flawed.
And the instinct is to immediately try to fix those flaws. Exactly. But the core mantra of the 13 Elephants manuscript pushes against that self-improvement industrial complex.
Right, Dr. Michael says, you are not too broken. You are not too much. You are not too strange.
Yes.
I want to pause on that because it's such a radical departure from how we usually treat crises.
It really is.
Society constantly pathologizes our emotions. If you grieve too long or you're too angry, society says you're too much and you need a quick remedy.
But Dr. Michael argues that feeling broken or feeling like you're too much, that is not a failure condition.
It's the starting line.
It's the exact coordinate where the third space begins. If you immediately try to fix it, you abort the transition.
You just have to let the messy reality exist.
You have to observe the mess without immediately trying to clean it up.
Okay, so you've accepted the state. How do you finally move forward and complete the transition?
That's step 4. Practice anchored gratitude.
Anchored gratitude.
Yeah, in the episode today, I Feel Good, he outlines the specific mechanism for temporal anchoring.
Temporal anchoring. Okay, so not toxic positivity.
Oh, no. He isn't suggesting you force a smile and pretend everything is great.
Good.
He's talking about anchoring your nervous system by finding gratitude across all 3 timelines of your existence.
The past, present, and future.
Right. Gratitude for the lived experiences that came before you, gratitude for what's sitting with you in the present mess, and gratitude for whatever is waiting ahead of you.
It's a way of stabilizing the submarine.
Exactly.
You aren't desperately trying to rewrite the past, and you aren't paralyzed by anxiety about the future. You are fully anchored in the third space.
Because you respect the fact that your past experiences are the exact data you need to inform your future self.
That integration is the engine of the third space.
It is what allows you to survive the pressure differential and emerge on the other side, evolved. Not necessarily fixed, but evolved.
Right. So if we look at this whole journey we've taken through Dr. Michael's work today, it fundamentally reshapes how we view our own struggles.
It truly does.
Whether you're that 12-year-old on a football field, just trying to carve out peace, or an adult realizing you just spent 3 hours in a 10-second scrolling cycle, your lived experiences are valid.
Your messy, contradictory humanity is completely valid.
The 13 Elephants Project proves there is incredible gold to be found in what you might initially see as your own brokenness.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the ultimate lesson here is about reclaiming your agency.
Right.
True learning and actual healing only happen when we stop allowing a distracted world to prescribe our medicine.
The flashing lights and quick fixes will never cure the exhaustion of a difficult transition.
Never. We have to be willing to reject the casino.
We have to step into that quiet, uncomfortable space between the person we were yesterday and the person we are struggling to become today.
You have to be willing to be the lone wolf for a minute.
You have to be brave enough to sit in the deafening silence of the airlock.
Because we expect personal growth to look like a clean X-ray.
A straight line from A to B.
Yeah.
But the reality is that the journey is muddy and noisy and full of massive elephants we spend vast amounts of energy ignoring.
But the third space is where the mud finally gets a chance to settle.
Exactly. So we want to leave you with a concrete thought to mull over as you go back into the noise of your day.
Mm-hmm.
The very next time you find yourself sitting in a quiet room and you feel that immediate, almost physical twitch in your hand, the urge to grab your phone and instantly start scrolling just to avoid an uncomfortable silence, force yourself to pause.
Just pause.
Look around that mental room and ask yourself, what is the elephant of your own life desperately trying to tell you in that exact moment of silence?
And are you finally ready to turn off the alarms and give it a voice?